don't think there's any question to how important this film was to cinema. Marion C. Cooper and Ernest B. Schoedsack's 1933 classic King Kong is an object of film history. His innovations in special effects and stop-motion animation remain groundbreaking achievements. The story, like Frankenstein or Dracula, has taken on the significance of a modern folk tale. Even the name King Kong has a life of its own, synonymous with enormity and grandeur. The film is pure escapism. Kong's imaginativeness is inarguably one of the reasons it was such a hit and why it has endured. Released during the days of the Great Depression, Kong transported audiences to the faraway Skull Island, where they could forget their troubles and lose themselves in its mixture of travelogue and primal adventure. King Kong's score was the first feature-length musical score written for an American film, the first major Hollywood film to have a thematic score rather than background music, the first to mark the use of the 46-piece orchestra, and the first to be recorded on 3 separate tracks, that being sound effects, dialogue, and soundtrack. It was a pioneer of the film industry. The plot centers on successful filmmaker Carl Denham, who travels by ship with a large crew to a tropical island for an exotic location shoot. No one knows what they'll encounter on this strange island and why it's so mysterious, but once there, discover a colossal and dangerous ape who takes a shine to their female blonde star. The crew fight for survival as they search to rescue Anne from the clutches of Kong. Kong's pacing is excellent. I particularly enjoyed the sequence on the ship journeying to the island. We're able to learn a little about the characters. A great scene is when Anne poses for the camera while crewmen gaze from afar. It's simple yet effective. The use of fog as they reach the island sets a tone for mystery and danger. Civilization is now a distant memory. The fog represents the unknown to follow. I was surprised how violent the film was, especially for the 30s. It must have been shocking for its day. The Stegosaurus scene was brutal, along with Kong breaking the jaw of the Tyrannosaur. In fact, most of what Kong does is gruesome, specifically the ways he dispatches the natives. It's a horror show. They make the island far more interesting by having it full of dangers besides Kong. The sauropod that lurked in the lake was probably my favourite set piece of the film. It's really the catalyst that turns rescue into madness. It completely obliterates most of the crew. As for the human characters, the performances are enjoyable but not exactly fleshed out past their stereotypes. Anne Farrow, played by Fay Wray, is treated much more like a damsel in distress than a real human being. That's not to say it didn't work for the times. Ray's presence elevates Anne. Jack Driscoll, played by Bruce Cabot, is basically the knight in shining armour. His relationship with Anne doesn't develop further than being the sailor who falls in love with her and saves her from Kong. Finally, the tenacious filmmaker Carl Denham, who was played by Robert Armstrong, becomes solely driven by the ambition to capture Kong. The film's purpose here, I think, is to underscore the theme of civilization conquering the wild, with Kong's capture and inevitable death. The beast Kong is not only the star of this picture, but perhaps the most human character. There are moments when Kong's behaviour and curiosity add depth. Such instances are when he smells his fingers after touching Anne, or his final look at Anne before falling to his death. These moments grow throughout the film until the creature is no longer just a beast or a puppet, but the story's anti-hero, elevating the B-grade monster movie into a moving tragedy. Cooper and Schoedsack divided their efforts during the production process. Schoedsack handled much of live-action footage and character-based scenes. Cooper worked closely with Willis O'Brien to complete the technical and action sequences. A combination of miniatures, travelling mats, animation styles, rear-projected backgrounds and other techniques each disappear into one another to create pure imaginative fantasy. It's undeniably impressive how much was accomplished. The visualization belongs to O'Brien, whose techniques on The Lost World paved the way for his success with King Kong. O'Brien worked alongside Marcel Delgado, who designed an 18-inch miniature that had to be adjusted by hand using the stop-motion process. I can only imagine how frustrating this would have been. I was instantly reminded by the progression of stop motion in Don Chaffee's Jason and the Argonauts from 1963. 30 years has clearly seen some adjustments to the process, but Kong holds up in comparison. Perhaps no other screen animal is as famous or as recognizable as Kong. He is the founding father of all other movie creatures that go amok. Lines can be drawn from this film to other notable creatures such as Jaws, Alien, and Godzilla. Nearly any film in which an animal or creature terrorizes a civilization with people running and screaming for their lives owes a debt to this film. The brilliance of King Kong comes from the way it was able to capture the imagination. It's hard to fathom how they were able to bring such an epic story to the screen. With the limited amount of resources that the filmmakers had, they were able to construct so many of these unforgettable moments quite convincingly. King Kong has cemented itself as part of classic film history.
Well, Denham, the airplane's got him. Oh, no. It wasn't the airplanes. It was beauty killed the beast. Beauty killed the beast.